Board challenge review. Before talking about the differences between bind, call, and apply, I would like to focus on the beginner challenge that was about using switch. So, can anybody tell me what problems do we have in this algorithm?
Yes, we have how call it? Return wasn't. There is a curly brackets missing.
Correct. That's the main thing. Switch requires curly brackets surrounding. Should we close them before or after the return statement? Before. That's correct. That's correct. Cool. What happened here with that string? Why the string is wrong?
Because you have another code.
Correct.
We need a bed.
Correct. Tell me 4 ways to solve the problem. Slash, wrong. Backslash. Correct. That's one option, and that's my favorite one. But let's talk about other options. What else?
Backticks enclosing the whole string.
So first of all, double quotes.
Oh, yeah.
We also mentioned backslash. Bala suggested backticks, also valid. Yeah. And then there is the classic way of finally, the lazy way probably, which is just doing, yeah. Yeah, whatever you prefer. Again, my favorite one is to escape it, because I find it a bit more elegant, right? Because I can, correct, and change the quotes, always single quotes, right? Which is what I like to do. Cool. So let's see what happens if we run this snippet now. It's Monday, right? If we pass 0 at the bottom, it says that it's Monday, yeah, which is correct. What happens if we pass 1? What will it return? I'm on holiday. That's correct. What happens if we pass 2? I'm on holiday again. That's correct. And what happens if we pass 3? Why? Look, we got case 3 here, right? Why is actually returning I'm on holiday instead of it's Friday? That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. The way switch works, and this is where the majority of you failed, is we need to put a break statement, because if we forget to add a break statement as part of each specific case, that means, right, what that means? Let's add some breakpoints. Right, look at the breakpoints. Line number 4, line number 6, line number 9, line number 11, line number 13, and line number 16. You tell me. Execution order, please. Who said 4? So Dave said 4. 16, 4, 6, time out. Next one. Poppy?
Yeah, 16, 4, 6, 13.
16, 4, 6, 13.
13.
Natasha?
16, 4,
Yeah.
6, 9,
Yep.
11, 13.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm with Natasha.
Right, everyone agrees with Natasha, and I think Natasha is right, so Natasha gets 1 pink point. Right. So why Natasha's right?
Because Natasha is looking for pink sunglasses.
Correct. at least, I think we pretty much all agree that the first line is 16, right? Nobody said line number 9 as the first one or weird things like that, right? So that's a good thing. And then we go to line number 4, and then obviously the index is free, so we should then land on number 9, correct? But because we don't have any break statement, now we go to line number 11, so we're overwriting the message, right? So unless we explicitly break a given case, if there is any default statement at the bottom, it will be executed, right? That's very important to remember. Finally, line number 13, so we'll return the message that originally was an empty string, then it was it's Friday, and finally it is I'm on holiday.
So the stream is breaking.
Uh,
I'm the one.
Right, remember guys to click on the live button at the bottom if you want to recover, right?
No, it's not just YouTube, both Hangout as well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's what it is, right, guys? So there is nothing else we can do.
I'm just wondering if it's your VPN.
No, there is no VPN at the moment, no.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cool. I'm sure it's doing line 6. Oh, wait a minute, she said 6. Oh, I completely. You said 6, or did?
Yeah, you just moved for one. It should be 5, and it should be 8, and it should be 10.
Oh, wait, what happened here? What happened here?
But that's fine, yeah.
So we need to rewind. So I don't know if we put 6 here because you said 6, or you didn't mention that, and I just drop it. It's not 6, of course it's not 6, right? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to run line number 6. You agree on that, Natasha?
Yeah, it should be 5.
Should be 5. So you think it stops on line number 5, Natasha?
No.
It stops on line number 6, yes or no?
It stops on number 6.
It does stop.
Yes, it
Okay, so you have lost the point.
1649.
Right?
Yeah, Jeff is
You've lost the point.
because he realized.
Yeah, actually Jeff gets the point. That's correct. Right? No, that's how it works, right? Really well done. That's how it works. Should Jeff get? Maybe he should, but he'll get 1, right? Cool. So yes, so Jeff is right. It won't stop on line number 6 because the index is not 0, it's free, right, Jeff? Correct. Right.
No, I said, no, that's not correct. What I said is it will stop the way I told you. I just think that breakpoint, like Jeff said, it should be on 5. I didn't say it will end
Still,
on 6. I said it will end on 13, like it will end on default message.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Bringing back the point.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Guys, let's move on. Watch the video. That's it. Thank you. Right, so that's beginner. That's pretty much it, right? That's pretty much the way Switch works. However, I would like to show you a different way to use Switch, which is probably a bit more common. And some of you have reported that way of working in the board challenge, and that's fine. I'm not against that. Well, I'm a bit against that, but it's still fine. Instead of changing the value and then breaking, if eventually we want to return the value, right, because that's what we want to do, what we could do is we can simply return a message. So we can return each specific message depending on the scenario, right? Does it make sense? Right? So that's essentially the same thing. Yeah, say it again?
Sorry, we don't need the top with the message.
No, correct. Dave is right. We don't need the top message. He's right. So now, as soon as the condition is met, we return it. Right? So then we don't care about the breaking, we don't care about these things, because as soon as it's, right?
Oh, so you don't need to write break then?
That's correct. In that particular case, we don't need to type break. So, now, can anybody tell me the execution order? And I will go with Natasha first, because
Yes.
she's lost the point, so let's give her the option to get another point.
So it will be 13,
Yeah?
it will be 3,
Yeah?
we're running number 3, so it will be 5,
Mm-hmm.
it will be 7, and it will stop there.
Right, so she's wrong again. So she's definitely not getting any points this morning. She did literally the same mistake we explained 45 seconds ago, right? It will never ever stop on line number 5, Natasha. Never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, right? Because the value is 3, it's not 0.
I said 7.
Yeah, of course, but you said 5 as well, right?
It doesn't stop on the
It doesn't stop on the
Oh,
5,
okay,
that's
okay.
correct,
Uh-huh.
that's correct.
It's just stopping the 0 if you put past the 0.
That's correct, Rafa, that's correct.
Ah.
So Rafa, what was then
I thought
the...
it was
13, 3, and the 7 and 9. Oh, no, just 7. Just 7.
Ooh,
Stops at 7.
yes. So Rafa is right, right?
Yeah, I thought
13.
it was a filter.
3, and 7, and that's it. We return, that's it, right? So Rafa get half a point.
No, it should go to 9 because there's no break clause.
This should go to 9. No, wrong, because we return, as soon as we return, the function is over. It doesn't matter what's happening afterwards, right? So that's a classic way to create a switch statement. I'm not a big fan of that structure, and the reason is, what happens if we want to do more stuff at the bottom, right? Will that console log on line number 11 even run? No. No. Remember, return statements are very aggressive. They kill everything, right? So unless we have a very good reason, I will personally suggest not to use them and use break instead. Because if we use break, we stop the flow, but then obviously we can continue working with the function afterwards, right? I think it's a bit more elegant. And I think that's pretty much it, guys, regarding the switch. So is there any question?
Is it, because you mentioned that it's kind of between calls old stuff, is it like useful nowadays or?
Yeah, you can still use it. As we mentioned in a former workshop, to me, switch makes a lot of sense when you have lots of different cases. It helps readability. Case 0, case 1, case 2.
Better than use to if else.
I think I personally find it better. Yeah. More readable. Yes. Anything else about switch? No? Okay, so let's check intermediate. Bind versus call versus apply. That's the most important thing you need to learn before the end of the bootcamp, alongside inheritance that we'll be tackling shortly. So, we have two users, user 1 and user 2. So, let's start from the basics, I hope. So, if we invoke user1.getDetails, right? What will the function return?
Details. This is Anthony. Age undefined because on that user 2 there is no age included,
Right.
and that's why it's undefined.
Do you agree with Hazel?
No.
No. Why don't you agree with Hazel? Bala.
Because it's theta, that's small.
It's small,
Theta
so-
and age.
So you didn't use
Undefined.
inside the thing.
So Hazel again.
No, you didn't put user 2 because on the board it says user 2.
Yeah, but this is not the board, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Remember, guys.
I changed my mind.
Try to avoid talking too quickly, right? Because you will generally fail,
Yeah.
right?
No, I thought you did.
This is one of the lessons you need to learn. It's not about coding, it's about strategy. Yes, correct. Yeah, it's about life. That's correct. It's about life, Rafa. Yeah, I agree on that. So, Mo, what will this function return now?
This is age undefined.
Mo?
This is theta and age is, it's age undefined.
No, I said no. It's not saying that this is then age undefined.
It's,
This is theta, age 33.
yeah, that's correct, Bala. It's interesting because after Hazel's solution, Mo said, no, that's wrong. I think he said literally the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Right. Yeah, Bala is right? So we do user1.getDetails. That means, lexical this refers to user. So this.name is the same as user.name, Peter, and then this.h is the same as user.h, right? Which is 33. So if we run this snippet, this is Peter H33, so there is half a point for Bala as well. Yeah, yeah. So let me write down the points so otherwise I forget. Right. So that was just what we already know, right? But now we introduce something new, something you've probably never seen before, which is .call, and then we press user2. What will the function now return and why? Everyone apart from Jav, Rafa, and Bala.
What will that return?
Yep. That's literally the word challenge, right? The intermediate.
Get details dot call username. So it will return undefined because it will call details for user2 but without age.
Right.
No, I'll tell you. This is Anthony H undefined because
Yeah.
user one is going to be invoked, and he will take the
Yes, age will be
he will take
undefined.
from this name will be Peter because it's user one and user two.
So Asa, I completely lost, right? And because I completely lost, let me ask a question. What's the value of lexical this?
In here, it's Anthony.
Something I notice is I keep asking the same question and you keep giving me the wrong answer. I don't know why. Not you, yes. Not you particularly, I said. Generally speaking. Why when I said, what's the value of lexical this, you said Anthony? Or you said Peter? Or you said 33? Lexical this is an object, guys. That's the most important thing you should learn. It couldn't be Anthony. It couldn't be Peter. It couldn't be Donald Trump. It's an object, right? So never said lexical this is foo, is blah. No, that's an object, first of all. And then, what's the value of the object? It's not Anthony. Keep saying that. Oh, lexical this can never ever be a string. User2, okay, I accept user1, I accept user2, I accept empty object, I accept window, but never a string, please. Never ever said lexical this is a string. It's always an object. So then, what is the value of the lexical this object?
User2.
User2. That's correct. Was that Rich?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rich, so what will this function return?
This is Anthony.
Oh. Yeah. Sorry, Richard. I think we lost you. There was an internet issues.
This is Anthony, age undefined.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's see if Richard is right.
Can I have another?
No, because Richard is right. So he got the right answer, right? So this is Anthony, age undefined, right? Why you think he's wrong, Dave?
Oh, because I thought we called before the function, so it could be that it's in the memory there, 33.
No. So ignore the memory things, right? That only applies when we deal with window object. There is no window object involved here at the moment, right? So this is just a battle between user 1 and user 2, which are local variables. So they will be refreshed every time. So Richard is correct. Half a point for him. Right, so that's the first thing, right? When we use call, we are changing the context. In other words, we are replacing the value of lexical this, right? You'll get that question on every single job interview in your life. Because of that, I still don't understand why so many developers struggle to give a right answer. If that's, you can fail once, right? But once you notice that every company has the same question, why don't you learn that, right? So please, right? Difference we will call bind and apply. That's the most typical thing in JavaScript, alongside prototypical inheritance, right? So yeah, because we're invoking get details and we're changing the context. The default context, as we've seen before, should be user1, right? But because we're overriding it, now the context is suddenly user2. Can we hardcode an object here? So can we set age58? What will this function return?
This is Anthony, age 58.
I think we return Peter.
Right, anyone apart from Jeff, Rafa, Bala, and Richard?
Oh, this is Peter, age 58.
This is Peter, age 58. What do you think, guys?
Yes, that's, no, this is undefined.
So, Isel,
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you say again? Isel?
Yes. This is undefined. Age 15.
Right, let's see if Isel is right. She is right. She is right. So, Natasha, so Peter or Anthony, they are completely now unrelated, right? Because our lexical this is just an object that we're literally just created with one property, age 58.
Yeah.
So this.age, that will return 58. This.email, undefined. This.name, undefined. Yep? So, okay, so half a point for Isel. Cool. So that's the first thing, call, right? So with call, we change the context. What happened? What happened if now we replace the classic function with an arrow function? And then let me put back user2. This is getting complicated, right?
Now, lexical this will refer only to user 1, to object that is where it is based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what will this return, Natasha?
So this will return user 1, get it of call user 2. This will return, this is Peter, age 33.
So Natasha said this will return, so that function will return, this is Peter, age 33. What do you think, guys?
No, because we change it, so it, I think it refers to the window, so it will be undefined age. This is undefined.
Yeah?
This is Anthony H. undefined.
This is Anthony, age undefined.
Is this open to me?
Yeah? Anyone?
This is age undefined.
This is Peter, age 30.
So, okay, so Jeff, let's, so because you gave several options here, so that, I think that's interesting. So Natasha, you was the first one. So what you
Same
said?
like Jeff said.
So Natasha and Jeff, you said what? It was.
It will refer to user 1.
So you said so Peter and 33, right? Aisel, you said undefined.
This is then age undefined.
Yeah. Oh, but this is what was the name?
Name?
Yeah.
Nothing.
But nothing was nothing. Is it what nothing means?
Undefined.
So name is undefined.
And age.
So both undefined. Anyone else?
Anthony name undefined.
So Dave, Anthony, undefined. Anyone else?
I'm agreeing with Natasha and Jack.
So Natasha and Jeff.
Yeah, because it goes up to the parent. Because of the
Right. Right. Anyone else?
We're all wrong, probably. Because you wrote it down so we can see.
Right. Richard, Bala.
Yeah, I think it's blank and undefined.
Who said that?
Yeah.
Is Richard. Is blank and undefined.
Oh, Richard, you will lose points.
No, of
No?
course you can't. You know you can't. Right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think that with the rich.
No, so that will take the window
Yeah, window.
object.
Yeah.
Because it's arrow function, right?
Ricardo.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Exactly, because there's a window name property, it becomes blank.
no, sorry. So no, so we're binding user to Right.
Guys, if I'm correct, there are 3 points here. Because that's a complex question. It's a complex question, seriously, it's a complex question. But the first one on giving the right answer was Richard. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. That's correct. Richard was right. Why? What's the value of lexical this? Is it user 1? Is it user 2? Is it something else?
It's the window object.
It is the window object. It is the window object. Why is it the window object? Because we have an arrow function. Remember, arrow function always inherit. Arrow function, they don't care who invoked the function, they don't care if we use call, they don't care about anything. They just inherit the parent one, right? So because we don't have any parent context, it defaults to window, right? So in other words, that will return window.name and window.age, right? And window.age is clearly undefined, but window.name, even though last day we thought it was undefined, it's not. It's an empty string. It's interesting because if you review the last video, arrow functions, one of the guys who was watching the video online, he dropped a comment explaining why it's an empty string, right? So you can review the other video and he will tell why it's an empty string. But it's correct, it's an empty string. So there are today 3.5 points for Richard, who is the, the influencer of the session. Cool. And then, so let me put back the classic function.
Ricardo, I have a question here.
Yep, sure.
Will the function get called at all or not?
Well, yeah, sure, why not?
No, the arrow function, because if that's the case,
Yep.
then so if the lexicalness is the window object,
Yeah.
shouldn't we be getting this is undefined,
No.
age undefined?
No. Look. This is empty string. Why? Because this.name is an empty string.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. This.age is undefined, but this.name is an empty string. That's why that returns something weird. This is empty string, comma.
Why is it empty string? Why?
No.
Because the window object has a name property.
Ah, okay.
Yeah? We've done nothing on that, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Age is not undefined.
Any other question?
Sorry, we couldn't hear anything this end.
So we said that this.name refers to window.name. And
Correct, yeah, which is undefined.
it's not undefined. No, it's not undefined. It's an empty string.
All right, so fair enough. It's empty string.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but when you ran it, it returned just undefined, didn't it?
No. It returns an empty string. It returns an empty string, Bella. Look, if I run it, if I hit a breakpoint, if I type this.name, it returns an empty string.
Oh, no, okay. So I saw in console, I saw undefined in there.
No. In console, there was an empty string. Look, this is empty string.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Cool.
At the bottom of the console, it shows undefined. I thought that was the output.
Yeah, no, you can see the string, right? Hopefully at the bottom, right? Cool. So this is the first thing, call, right? But then, what happened? Let me put back the classic function, right? So function, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm replacing call with apply. What will this function return and why?
This is Anthony age undefined.
It's returned the same thing with the call because it's a kind of similar stuff with the call.
Yep.
And but the call, when you're passing argument,
Yep.
it returns one by one. You know.
I didn't got that, to be honest. What means?
It's call and apply.
Yeah, we'll talk about details. But for now, Natasha is right. So she gets half a point. Finally, right? Right. So why is this right? Because in that particular case, call and apply are equivalent. You can replace them, right? Let's talk about differences. I'm putting call back, right? So if we put call, this is Anthony, age undefined, we know that. But now I would like to pass a couple of arguments. with his first 2 scores in the Codere platform. So score 1, score 2, right? So score 1, but let's display that, right? Score 1 is score 1, and then score 2 is score 2, right? We can obviously move that to a new line because this is a bit hard to read. Yeah. You know that with template literals, backticks, we can have multi-line strings, right? Easily, by the first time in JavaScript history, right? So we can just return something like that. And now the question is, if I invoke user2, let me show you. If I use the call and I can pass a comma separated list of arguments with the scores. So for example, score 56, second score 81. So what will the function return now?
Are we allowed to participate, or should we keep quiet?
That's a good question. First of all, let's give 30 seconds for the guys who haven't participated, right? And then after 30 seconds, everyone can, you know.
No.
So people like Itamar,
Me. Well,
Mo, Poppy.
okay, so can I say it?
Say it again? Yeah, you can. Yeah, definitely. Go for it. Mo.
Okay. All right. So this is Anthony.
Yep.
Age undefined. Score 1 undefined. Score 2 undefined.
So both the scores are undefined.
No, score
Yeah.
score 56, and
It's not an array, so that's the reason why it's undefined.
Okay. Okay. So that's your proposal. And then someone was Isel. So you disagree. What's the value of score 1 and score 2, Isel?
score 1 is 56,
Yeah.
score 2 is 81.
Why? Why Mo is wrong, according to you, Isel?
Because you're passing the arguments in
Correct.
the user.
So Isel is right. You see? Isel gets another half a point today.
Can you see what I just said? I couldn't hear how.
So you, Mo, you got confused between call and apply. What happened if now we press apply? There are 2 points for the first one, and anyone can participate, but you cannot change your mind.
I don't think that will work.
Say it again?
I don't think it will. Okay, so the answer will be this is Anthony, age undefined, scores undefined.
This is,
We'll get an error. That's my answer.
so Bala said we'll get an error.
Yeah.
I was saying this is.
Did you hear my
Yeah.
proposal?
Yeah. I'm just waiting to see what everybody thinks.
Error.
Right. So Bala and Isel suggest that we'll return an error. Why an error, Bala?
Because it expects an array.
Yeah, it returns array. Apply.
And the second argument, apply.
Yeah. Look at what happened if we run this snippet. Bala is right. Bala gets 2 points. So,
Bala is on top.
create list from array called or not blah. It's a weird error, right? It's a weird error, but from a human point of view, the message is A. Apply is expecting to receive an array, but you're passing a comma separated list of arguments, right? So, to solve it, how do we solve it, guys? Using apply.
Dot join.
Dot join. Dot join where?
After the.
Just pass an array.
No, wait. No, not Bala. Poppy, Itamar, Dave, Michael, Mo?
Yeah. well, put it as an array.
As an array, what?
5681.
The
So
two.
56, so
Correct. So Mo is right? Apply expects an array. So just put it like that, right? Easy. So now, if we run it, that should return this is blah blah. Score 156, score 2, 81. Yeah. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So now the probably most repeated question on the story of the JavaScript interviews all around the world is what is the difference between call and apply? And the classic answer is one accepts an array, the other one accepts a comma separated list of arguments, but I don't remember which one is, which is horrible, and you don't get the job, right? So please remember which one is. I'll tell you a trick, or at least my trick to always remember, because this is not something that you use every day, right? So I'll tell you how it works for me. So the way, sorry Bala, the way it works for me is apply A receives an array A. Yeah. Call C receives a comma separated list of arguments. C, right? It's just a coincidence, but it does the trick. Yeah. So remember, that's a very fundamental rule. Yeah.
No more tricks for today.
No more tricks for today. Not magic, it's just science and a bit of luck sometimes. So, any question here? No? Last thing. So we talk about call, we talk about apply. If you have any question about them, let me know afterwards, but I'm assuming that everybody understood that. That's vital to get, you don't get a job if you don't know that, right? So that it's up to you if you want to master this or not. But now, final question. What happens if I put bind? Let me get rid of the arguments. It will return a function.
Because it's similar to apply, but it returns it's similar to call, but it returns function.
It's similar to call, it returns function. Okay, so, okay, fair enough. So let's put the function here. Let's call it ACL function. And then what? Without ACL. So what's your function? I'm following your instructions. And then,
You don't need to write the ACL function. Just instead of call and apply, just put bind.
yeah, I put bind. Yeah?
Yeah, without that ACL function.
Okay, without the ACL function. And then what? I want to display a message, right? This is whatever. This is Anthony, age undefined. I want to display that using bind. Right. Does anyone know how to get the message? This is Anthony, age undefined, using bind.
Yeah, just put brackets at the end, like call the function.
Brackets, square brackets, curly brackets.
No, normal brackets.
What's normal brackets? Thank you, parentheses, right? Like that?
Sorry, it's a bit slow here. Yes.
can't see the screen yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like that.
Correct. So that's the way bind works. So Bala gets half a point. So why it works like that? Bind returns a function. Even though that's correct, I find this syntax a bit weird. Because when we use bind, when we want to keep a reference to the function, but we don't want to invoke the function now, we want to invoke it maybe later, right? So that's why generally speaking, the way that works is you create a variable, let function, whatever, right? And then once you have the function, you can invoke it. This is a higher order function. You remember? Yeah. It is a higher order function. It's a function that returns another function. So then you can invoke it later on, right? It's literally the same thing. So we can do that. It's pretty cool, right? Bind is all around, is all, even though you don't notice. And I'll show you an example afterwards. So you are using bind starting from task number 13, but you didn't notice. Cool. So what will that function return?
It return. That's what you wanted. This is Anthony, age undefined.
Cool. Let's see if Natasha said this is Anthony, age undefined. Anyone who didn't get any score agrees?
Yeah, I agree with Natasha because it's regular score.
No scores is
Right. Right. So Natasha is right. So Natasha gets another half a point. Right. So you see, it's pretty much the same thing in trace steps. With call and apply, we immediately invoke the function. With bind, we first of all save a reference to the function, and then later we invoke it. So then, let me ask you something. Go back to the score problem. You remember score 1, score 2. This is something that 99% of the developers fail to answer. So again, I'm going to display score 1, score 1, score 2, score 2. I want to pass a couple of numbers. Where do we pass them? Here or there?
So if bind is a function that returns a function, you should invoke it into a return function, is it?
Where? Line number 18
Yes,
at the bottom?
yes.
Okay, so that's technically speaking correct. That's
But yeah, maybe it should be written in a different way.
No, okay, let's see that. Let's try this example. That will work. That will return score 1, 56, score 1, 2, 76. So that's correct. Then my question is, can we pass these two arguments as part of the original, the first line, the bind statement?
Can we do it with an arrow function?
No, let's just ignore arrow functions. So can I pass the arguments on line number 17?
You can,
How?
just like we did with.
So, sorry, Bala, let the guys participate a bit. You got lots of points today. So, anyone without points? Itamar, Michael, Dave.
Just add it
As a what?
different argument.
Different argument. How? It's an array, it's a comma separated list.
You add it as a comma separated list.
Right. So Dave is suggesting that we can pass a comma separated list with the arguments. What do you think, guys? Will this work?
Put it in square bracket.
So Natasha says that the API of bind is like apply, like an array. Which one? Comma separated or array? Let's have a look. It is comma separated. So Dave,
Yeah, because number is a number. Yeah.
because number is a number.
What I want to say is, I thought that we should separate them. Yeah, I think it's comma separated. Dave is right because number is defined as a number, even if it's. Don't worry. Yeah.
But this,
I
wait. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's the wrong way of thinking. It's just completely unrelated to whether we're dealing with numbers, strings, objects, arrays, booleans, functions, iterable, enumerable. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just arguments on the function, right? Because it's just arguments on the function, it's important to notice that the bind syntax is the same as call or apply. Call, correct. It's a comma separated list, right? So bind is same as call in that respect. Correct. So Dave gets half a point. And then, that's the last question of the day, mainly for Itamar and Michael. What? Can I do that? What I've literally done on my screen, but I hope you can.
He had a number in.
Yeah, ISL. So ISL gets minus half a point. Yeah, of course, right? No, I'm joking. You don't get minus half a point, but you'll get minus half a point next time, right?
Okay.
So, generally speaking, this is another kind of attitude, right? Try to follow the instructions. Instructions are clear. It's Itamar or Michael. You got 30 seconds. If not, then we'll open it to anybody, everybody. Ashley, you didn't get any bar? Oh yeah, true. Sorry, Ashley. Yeah, sorry. No, yeah, sorry. That's my fault. I mean, yeah. I mean, when I say these two, is anyone who without any point, right? You know, you got points or not. So, Mo, Poppy, Ashley, yeah, all these guys.
Poppy, pop out.
So, what will this return, Ashley? Right, time out, Ashley. Itamar, Poppy, Mo, Michael.
I've got an idea. So this is Anthony.
Yeah.
Age.
Sorry, Mo is talking, guys. This is Ashley, age undefined.
Score 56. And score 1, 56. And score 2, 76.
That's interesting. What do you think?
I think this is Anthony,
Yeah.
age undefined,
Yeah.
score 56,
Score 1.
score 1, 56,
Yeah.
score 2,
Score 2 what?
undefined.
Nothing means what? Undefined or empty string?
Empty string,
Empty string.
yeah.
Itamar?
I would agree with Poppy, except maybe I would say undefined, not empty string.
Okay. So now the problem is, so I think we all agree on the score 1 is 56. Well, that doesn't mean it's correct, but you all agree. Michael, do you have any opinion?
Well, abundance would be an empty string. That's one thing.
Yep. Okay, so now the question is a score 2 an empty string? Is a score 2 undefined? Is a score 2 76?
76. Because we replace
Yeah, let's have a look.
The age is undefined.
Let's have a look. Score 2 is 76. So Mo is right and Mo gets half a point. Right? Why? Well, it's pretty natural if you think about that, right? So you can spread the arguments between the declaration of the function and the execution of the function. They will be concatenated, right? So that means that this will be the first argument, 56, and then we're still expecting a second argument, which we can provide it either on the same line alongside or later on when we actually invoke the function. Right? That's important, and that's something that the majority of the developers tend to ignore. That you can do that, even though I agree this is not maybe that natural, but this is something that we can definitely do, right? And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool because then, let's say that the first argument is always the same, 56, but the second one changes. So now we can invoke that function several times, passing a different second score, right? Right? That's the powerful of this kind of mechanism, right? Any question? No? So the very last thing of the day, I told you before that you start using bind, even though you didn't notice, or well, not using explicitly, but you started to deal with bind indirectly on task number 13, I believe, when we introduced a state by the first time.
Because what if we do this as a bind as a arrow function?
Bind, I don't understand what bind as an arrow function means.
Instead of class function, let's make it arrow.
Get details. So you want to rename to replace get details with an arrow function, right?
Well, same, yeah, prefer.
Okay, that's a good question actually. ISL. So ISL is.
Something like the code, right? It's gonna be this is empty string,
Yeah,
age undefined, and scores the one we pass to the argument.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because it's the same like the call, so it's gonna be
Correct.
the-
Correct. I think you are right, ISL. But let's have a look. Yes, this is empty string, age undefined, score 156, score 276. So that's correct. That's correct, right? So the arrow function only affects to lexical this. if score 1 and score 2 are just regular arguments, you know, they will be taken as usual. Yeah? So there are no differences in that respect. So the reason why I told you before that you were actually using indirectly bind somehow is, do you remember set timeout?
Yeah.
Right? So set timeout, then you declare a function here. That function is bound somehow, right? And that function will be later invoked, right?
Yeah.
So JavaScript creates a reference to this callback function, and then after a while, what that means after a while? Depending on what number we pass afterwards, right? After 5 very long seconds, JavaScript will execute it. Yeah. The same pattern applies to set interval. You know what set interval is?
Set it not, yeah. Where is it?
Like keeps the break and then runs
Set
back to those
interval
people.
is
Sorry.
So it changes
David's
the
talking.
state and then it goes back to the original state.
It goes,
No.
no, this is,
All the time between the same. To check what? I was going to say same thing. The time between if you have a particular thing you want to run,
yeah.
how often? Sorry, the length of time between each change.
So how many,
Going forwards.
right, so question, Michael, if I put the console log, hello, how many times that console log will run?
How many times?
Yep,
Just once, isn't it?
once. Okay. So Michael said once. What do you think, guys? Twice.
It's gonna run, because you set the interval 5 seconds.
Half a second, I changed that. But yeah, so
Yeah, it's gonna like kind of refresh in 5,
That's cool.
50 seconds. You know?
so how many times that function will run? Aisel?
Once, but after 5 seconds, something like that.
Once, so once.
No,
Twice. Who said twice? So more with Dave twice. Aisel, I don't know, you know.
5 seconds.
Who else?
It's refreshing in 5 seconds.
Jaf? Itamar? Twice?
Yeah, twice.
Okay, Itamar, Aisel. Right. Anyone else? Aisel, Ashley,
I knew you set interval.
Poppy, Rafa, Richard, Bala.
I know. It's gonna run once after 5 seconds.
No one else?
What was the question?
What you been doing in the last 10 minutes?
After 5 seconds.
How many times the console log will run? Oh. Okay, Jaf said once. Natasha. Natasha is not here. So Richard, Bala, Mo.
I think it will continue to run every half a second.
So how many times that means? Well, give me a number.
We're just setting an interval, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're not saying to stop. Yeah, I've never used it, so I'm just guessing. So I think it'll just continue to run every half a second.
Forever.
Yeah.
Just run once.
So Bala said infinite, right?
Yeah.
And Richard said once, I think.
No, sorry, I didn't realize it was interval. Yeah, like, I agree with Bala.
Okay, right. So Richard and Bala are right. Set interval will run forever, right? So if we now run the snippet, probably you can see every half a second we get a new message. Until when? Until you die. That's it, right? That's it. But what happened? This is a bit off topic, right? But because we have 5 minutes, what happened if we want to stop it? We want to run, okay, we want to run set interval until, you know, like 20 times, let's say.
Does it take other arguments?
No.
Pass means to pass another function.
Set time.
Set timeout, wrong?
Can we use a loop to break it?
No, of course, you can use a for loop to do the same thing, but I don't want to use a for loop. I know this is, I'm not defending this coding pattern, right? But we do have a set interval, which is out of control, is killing developers, so we want to stop it after 20 iterations, right? So the way to do that, now it will keep running, right? You see, it's completely out of control. So the way to kill it is, no, set interval returns a function. The function, that whenever we invoke the function, it will kill the interval. So generally speaking, what we can do, we can assign set interval to a function. I'll rename it clear interval. Yeah. So at some point, for example, how many times? It's still running. You see, it's completely crazy. But as soon as I refresh it, how many times the console logs will run?
None, because it hasn't been invoked. It's a variable.
But you didn't pass the
So none. Who said none?
I did, but it looks like it's wrong.
So Mo said number of execution times 0.
It will run once.
So Bala once. Who else?
But that's a variable.
Yep.
It's a variable that hasn't actually been invoked if it's this is a variable.
Shouldn't it be the same answer as before?
So Itamar infinite.
yeah, you need to pass
How did you
the
invoke it in the
clear
first place? I don't get it.
Yeah. That doesn't have a return statement.
Oh yeah, so I mean, yeah, you're right. So I think, yeah, Mo is right. So only when you call it, obviously. Yeah.
When you call what?
Oh, yeah, that's
You're not calling that function. You're just getting a different. When you
You are
call
not-
the function,
It's a variable, isn't it? Only.
Right. So Bala changed his mind and now he joins Mo.
I will join Mo. Yeah.
Right. The only reason why I'm allowing you to change is because now you are wrong.
Then yeah, I will join Mo. Yeah.
Right. So what do? Okay. So I'll prove how wrong you all are. So your theory is if I got a function called getName, return Peter. Your theory is that if I do letName equals getName, that will never run. That's exactly what you are telling me. That's literally the same thing. We have a function that we are executing, and that function will return something. Yeah, we'll see what to do with the return statement. But we are actually invoking the set interval function. Look at the parentheses.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that function, Bala was originally right. That function will run. It will run. It will run once. So we invoke set interval. We keep a reference to the clear function, but we'll see what to do with it. For now, we invoke it. So after half a second, yeah, I will run. And then, because we clear it, we stop the loop. So if we run this snippet again, oh yes, that thing, right? If we run this again, an error, it's a typo. Wait a minute, there is a typo here. Let me check something.
No, so we can't recurse over.
Because what?
We can't recurse over because we're not returning the function reference. We're returning the output of the function.
Okay, wait a minute. So
we're trying to call clear interval,
yeah.
But there's no function called clear interval because it's just the output.
It's in the wrong line. You wanted to do it after
Oh, wait, yeah. But wait. Okay, fair enough. Okay, right. You're still all wrong, eh? I was wrong as well, but you are wrong. So, don't be so optimistic yet. Right, I misunderstood. My proposal was correct, but I misunderstood something. So, what set interval returns?
Set interval goes in and tries to run console log hello.
Yeah.
And then after it runs, it looks for a function clear interval.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your original idea was to do a recurse over.
Yeah.
So to stop it, but obviously there's no clear interval there. But so obviously clear interval is a function, but obviously you're not passing the set interval to that to stop that.
Right. Sorry, I'm lost, Bala. The question is obvious. What set interval returns? Let's ignore what we did here, right? Which I did it wrong. I apologize for that. What set intervals returns something?
Now it will run infinite.
Yeah, we agree on that, Bala. But I want to stop it. How to a set interval? To understand what set interval, how to stop it, I was assuming it returned a function, but I was wrong. It doesn't return a function. It returns a number.
So yeah, so I'm saying to stop it, we call clear interval and pass this whole function call to that.
Yeah. So according to the docs, that returns a number. So then we can invoke clear interval that comes with window, passing that number. I think. No? Neither? It's not clear. I think it's clear interval, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, clear interval, but see, we need to...
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? It's clear interval is a function, right?
So set interval function...
Clear interval? Oh, that's a weird thing. That's because, as I declared a variable let interval before, now it has overwritten the default clear interval on the Windows object, right? So that's a very tricky problem, right? So probably we need to create a new snippet.
No. So if we call that clear interval after the assignment, that'll work.
But we're invoking it after, but why after the assignment? I don't want to put it outside, Bala, because I want to invoke it. No, but that doesn't make sense. No, yeah, of course. Listen, that won't work neither because of the same problem. Because I've overwritten the value of clear interval. It's not a function, it's a number. When I created a variable, by coincidence, I'll name it clear interval, right? So because of that, we need to create a new snippet. So if I now display here clear interval, yeah, it's still pointing to window. So we need to kill the tab. We need to open a new window tab. I know this is a bit annoying, but that's something happens, right? So now you will see that if I type clear interval, it will hopefully return a function. Correct. Because now it returns a function, right? You will see that now if I run clear interval inside, hello, once, and that's it. So now it works fine. So again, and I know this is a bit off topic, set interval returns a number. So if you want to kill that loop, you need to invoke the clear interval function, passing that number as the argument. Yeah. Any question, guys? No?
That's quite good. Thank you.
So what is the number?
Number is just a random number. Look, it's a number that JavaScript. Look.
What is it?
Has already been declared. Oh, right. Yeah, that will run just once, of course. That will run just once. So now, you see, number 2. Why 2? Why not? And now it's number 3. It's like an index. that refers to each specific set interval callback function. It's JavaScript, right? You can check the API. If you go to Google, and you search JavaScript set interval, W Free Schools has a really good article on that. Yeah, set interval. So then, if you scroll down, the ID value returned by set interval is used as the parameter for the clear interval method, which is literally what we've done so far, right? Right. So, any question, guys? No?
Just with the clear interval you can stop.
Yeah, just with a clear interval you can stop it. Yeah.
Any of these sets.
That's correct. Yeah. Anything else? No?
But if you want to run not like once,
More than once, okay. What if we want to run 5 times? Well, you can create a variable I equals 0, right? And then here you can do, after each iteration, I plus plus. So then if I is less than 5, for example, right? Then kill it. Something like that, right?
And for loop.
It's correct, that's like a for loop. Alex, right, that's like a for loop. But this is the trick, right? Look. 1. Oh, sorry, it's not if it's less than 5, which is obviously true on the first iteration, right? If equals to 5, right? If I equals to 5, if it's less than 5, when it's 0 or 1, it will be true, right? So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. Yeah? We can run a specific number of times this set interval. Historically speaking, a bit about classic programming culture in JavaScript, set interval, that's the way that we programmers used to do in the early 2000s to, for example, you know this kind of blockchain things that some of you are doing at the moment to refresh the data? So we used to invoke the backend every 5-10 seconds, right? To get new data, fresh data, right? This is not acceptable anymore, right? But a long time ago, that was the only way. Now, fortunately, we got things like WebSockets, right? And things like SSE. So there are modern strategies toward having real-time applications.
what is this 147? Where is it from?
That's the ID of that's an internal reference, internal number that JavaScript uses to keep a reference to the set interval. Because we have a reference to set interval, then we can kill it, right? That's weird. That's weird. Modern APIs, when you use some JavaScript frameworks like Angular, they got a custom $set_interval method that it returns a function. That's why I was confused. So we can just invoke the function and that's it. We don't deal with weird random numbers that we don't know what they talk about, right? Anything else? No? Cool. Thank you very much, guys. That was it. Cheers.